Good morning, my name's Alex Stanhope and I want to talk today about web services. They come in a whole different array of shapes and sizes, different scales, and with different values attached to them. What you call it might vary. You might know your web service as your website. It might be the part of your business that you transact online. It might be your e-business or web business. But fundamentally, it's about a bit of software that sits on a server somewhere so that it can deliver a service to somebody. That service is often backed by staff back at base, fielding questions or emails or supporting transactions in a variety of different ways. But fundamentally, the gateway to your customer is often through this web service. What's it worth? Why analyze it? Well, as part of any sale of a business or any investment placed in a business, often the pricing of the asset would be some small component of that. But more than that, I'd argue that if you're developing a website, if you're taking the time to make an investment in your web service, it's worth understanding what you've got. How strong is it, and in what domains can it be improved? It might be worth taking on some kind of assessment of that. I'll talk a little bit about the open source framework that we're publishing today. It's free and it's available for you to take a view of your own website, not only in terms of its functional presence, so how well does it do the things it's trying to do, but also the non-functionals. What is its, we can look at some questions like this of how it performs and so on. And those non-functionals tend to have a massive impact on the value of this web service. Who's the audience? Who's it talking to? What people and processes connect with that web service to make it valuable? And of course, what kind of shape is the software in itself? Some small part of this is of course about the software. As part of a web audit, you might look at an array of questions, and the purpose of the questions and the purpose of this free checklist that we're publishing is to help you think about your web service in the broadest possible terms. So how well does it perform? How likely is that performance to change over time? How secure is it? Where are the vulnerabilities? How might those vulnerabilities be exploited both now and in the future? How compliant is the website? Have you been addressing the new European Union GDPR legislation, for example, PCI DSS? These are all things that perhaps connect with your business and the processes you've already adopted as an organization, but they have a major impact on your web service too. And often some aspect of that compliance is through the website and the way it performs. How extensible is it? If you're going to be extending and developing this website over the course of the next few months or years, to what extent have you been locked into different decisions already, and how flexible will the site be to that extension as it goes on? Crucially, how robust is it? In the event of a disaster, which of course we all hope will never happen, but in the event of something happening, how long will it take for you to recover? What's your RTO? What's your RPO? How long will it take to actually get back to a point where your business is operational and the web service is out there serving your customers? One of the things that we're trying to do as part of a web audit is make some kind of risk assessment of the future. Now, it's not possible to guess exactly what's going to happen next, but there are things we can do to profile where vulnerabilities lie, either in the service itself or in the way the service is operated. On some level, it's about bringing to bear your team's experience in the way that the service has been developed so far to give you the best shot at managing the set of risks and uncertainties that will unfold over time. Fundamentally, it's still of course about test and learn, which I've talked about in many of these previous presentations, but when it comes to web services, knowing where the service is and what its shortcomings are is fantastic. Every web service has technical debt, and if it doesn't, then it's been very misdeveloped. Technical debt, or the corners that were cut to bring you to this point, to get the web service out there, might mean things like scalability. It might be that the website will cope only to a few hundred or a few thousand users. And if you plan to extend it to a few hundreds of thousands or millions of users, then obviously there's work needed to be done to optimize the website. It would be premature to do that optimization at the very inception of the site, because it might be a site that's never got that kind of aspiration. It might be that site that never reaches that kind of audience. So inevitably, this growing, changing website needs to address needs not only now, but also have some sense of where it's going to go in the future and what corners we're cutting now in order that we can get to the future, securing the investment needed to grow it. Fundamentally, there's a lot of questions here, and what I've tried to do is boil a few of them down in this presentation. If you'd like to take a look at the posts associated with this, there are close to 100 questions to get you thinking about the different areas of your site, the different levels of maturity the service has got in its current offering and where you're going to take it in the future. I hope that's been helpful. We're releasing it all open source. And if you have any comments or questions, please get in touch.